Hey, it's me, MLB. Here's chapter 118 of Rapid Fate Online, and this one's titled Wants and Needs. It was only when they heard the horrifically loud reptilian screech from behind them that they realised that you weren't talking to them or telling them to come on, and as they looked back, they saw a stupidly large pterodactyl approaching from the rear. "What the?" one of the guards gasped as he stopped, before charging ahead, full of fear and desperate to get off the rope bridge. Pants was approaching at a terrific speed, and before the guards could make it across to your island, the giant pterosaur screeched one more time, then opened her mouth and scooped up the two of them, knocking a third off his feet and sending him plummeting to the ground. "Up!" Butterfly called loudly, flicking his sword out into a whip and cracking it in front of himself so that Pants would shy upwards and avoid crashing into him or you. Poor Praetorian was shocked, standing behind the two of you, and didn't know what to do. "Do you own that pterodactyl?" he shouted, eyeing the other two guards that were clinging to the rope crossing, lying on their front, too terrified to move. "Well," you hummed, a smug look on your face as you stared the last remaining guards down. "Dunno if Pants owns us or we own it," you lied, grabbing another flash bomb and tossing it up into the air. "Come and eat Pants!" you yelled. A scream in the distance made you grin, and the guards paled. "Call it off! Call it off!" they begged. You hummed slowly, "and risk you getting information back to HQ? We won't, I swear on my grandmother's pink pantaloons," the other screeched. "That's a weird thing to swear on," you said in surprise, your calm reply juxtaposing the giant pterodactyl rapidly approaching from behind you. "Come get him!" you shouted to the pterosaur as you jumped out of the way last minute, with Butterfly and Praetorian diving off the other side so that Pants shot through the middle and scooped up the last two guards and carried them off. "Well, that worked well," you said with a chuckle. Are you a beast tamer?" Praetorian asked you, then Butterfly. "What was that thing?" "It's a monster on this level, but it's not one of the normal ones," you replied with a shrug. "It's a bit of a quirky one." "Well, it certainly helped us," Praetorian said. "That'll stop any others coming up here to look for us." "I hope so, but by now Butterfly and I know its route, so we can sort of summon it. Depends if it's within earshot or a view of us." "Handy," Praetorian said with a shrug, as you all headed back to Delilah in the house. The next day at school you waited with sweating palms to hear which agency you'd be working with for your internship, and you watched the teacher walk slowly around the rows of chairs, handing each student back their paper. Finally he got to you and passed your paper. "Thank you," you said softly, flipping it over to see what it said. "Dear valued student, it is my pleasure to offer you a position for internship at my agency. I trust that this letter finds you well, and I look forward to hearing your acceptance at your earliest convenience. With excited anticipation, Gang Orca." "Oh my god, I got accepted by Gang Orca! Mother flippin' Gang Orca!" you screeched internally. Excitedly you looked over to where Tamaki was, and waited for him to look at you, so you could mouth him the question, "Who did you get?" He looked back down at his paper and waited, indicating for you to use your quirk to switch the two of you so you could see each other's papers. Silently you switched with him and looked down at the paper, the excitement you felt slowly fading when you saw who had chosen your fiancé. Fat Gum. Dejected you switched back with him, and then put your paper down on the table. Sadly you looked at Tamaki, and saw that he too was crestfallen. "Oh man, I really wanted to be at the same agency as him." After class you two chatted in the hallway. "I'm so sorry we didn't end up at the same place," you said sullenly. I thought they might take us on together, but looks like we're not that lucky." "It's okay," Tamaki said softly, wrapping his arms gently around you and pulling you face first into his chest. We'll get a house together, then we won't need to worry about being apart." "You mean it? Move in together? Promise?" you asked, pulling back to look him in the eye. "I promise," he said softly. "I don't like being apart from you." You hugged him tight. "I love you," you said softly, hugging him harder. "I love you more," he replied gently. That night you sent an email to the chief police officer outlining all of the crimes that Bevan Swan, as Anarchy Lord and as the leader of the Blue Businessmen, had committed, along with all the evidence that you had collected, and within an hour the officer replied. Back and forth correspondence happened between the two of you, and the policeman agreed to follow it up with Cybercrime's unit. There had been a few other complaints that matched your case that you'd outlined, so the cyber unit had started to see this as something a little more serious than just a one-off thing. The chief promised to look into it the next day, and you sent Tamaki a message to let him know the good luck that you had with the police unit. It was yet again the following afternoon that the police rang you on the way home from school and told you that they needed good hard evidence from this player to be able to see him behind bars for his crimes, and you looked at Tamaki as you walked. "So you need him to confess?" you asked the cyber police officer. "Yes, that would be the best way, but I'm unsure of how you would do that," he replied. "I'm sure we could make him talk. From what I remember, he has a bit of an ego, and his online posts confirm that," you said into the receiver, still looking at Tamaki. "Well, let us know if you manage to get a clear confession, then we'll go from there," the officer said. "We will go and question him ourselves, but most people don't confess their crimes right in front of the police." And there ends chapter 118. Stay tuned for chapter 119 coming tomorrow.